Welcome back to Pilbara Wandering. In the last episode, you might remember we camped at Corunna Gorge. It's a spectacular campsite, and although there's plenty of space for everyone to camp, I can see it getting chockers in the busy season. This time, we're hopping over to Running Waters for a swim in the thermal-fed pool. Yep, a leisurely, swimmable temperature there. I'll cook something up here, which may or may not be delicious. And then there's some gem fossicking in the mineral-rich area surrounding Nullagine. There's some low-range rock hopping to be done, and some dusty high-speed kilometres to be covered on our way to Marble Bar. And finally, you'll be getting a dose of war history, Corunna Downs, Australia's hidden World War II era airfield. So grab yourself a milkshake, bring the boys to the yard, and enjoy this episode. I'm taking a morning stroll at Corunna Gorge, which I keep getting mixed up with Condamine Gorge, which is a spectacular place in Queensland. Now yesterday we were only supposed to stop here for an hour or two, enjoy the serenity, have a cup of tea, maybe a swim, and then head on to Running Waters. But it took a lot longer than I thought it might to get from Desert Queen Baths in Carlamillier through the Telfer Mine Road out to here. So we pulled up here, we went, yep, there's water, beautiful spot, that'll do us. The biggest problem, I suppose, is it's full of caravanners. It's very easy caravan access. I don't care about that. But the caravanners are a placid bunch, they're nothing to worry about. They have their happy hour. Things tend to get pretty wild from generally 5 or 6 till 7 or 8, thereabouts. They smash a bottle of wine, they get the giggles, they crank the country music, and then they pass out at 8. So it's pretty peaceful here. Sooner or later, we had to break the morning serenity and make a dash for Running Waters. I had a feeling it would be busy and that we stood a better chance of finding a camp if we got in before lunch.
I come upon a silver striped mushroom and
The turn-off into Running Waters is unmarked and the track is fairly narrow, but well maintained. We dropped a little pressure from the tyres as it got rougher. The creek bed gets rough and rocky as you near the camp. This is Running Waters, and this is our camp. We secured the second last spot by the water, and it's where we filmed this.
Jake, hold my drink and watch this.
Oh, hold my drink and watch this. Buy them now on intenseoffroad.com.
I'm out here at Running Waters in the Eastern Pilbara, playing with my sack of meat. This is about 1 kilo of rump. Is it rump? This is about 1 kilo of gravy beef. And with that, I'm going to show you how to make a stew. So that I vacuum packed at home before we left. Keep for longer. Usually it'll be 3 days. You can extend it 7 to 9 days if you vacuum pack it. So dicing the gravy beef.
You'll notice I miss a bunch of steps here and think I'm just doing a terrible job of instructing you. But wait, you'll see in a moment just why I edited like this.
We're going to roll all of this beef here in flour before we brown it. We're dicing the onion. Just cut the ends off the carrot, throw them in the fire, diced up into little rings. All right, that's all browned. Now I'll put in what we browned before. Now onions and carrots straight up in there. That's a 500 gram pack of soup mix. We've got to there. I'm going to put about that much in. And then this guy. Just a bit of gravy mix. Packet actually says to pre-mix it with 250 ml of water and whatnot, but I ain't got time for that. Oh, it's angry. Okay, that's going on the coals now. Get most of your heat on top. Probably 1/4 of the coals underneath, 3/4 on top. So about 45 minutes to an hour should do the job. As long as you're not nuking it with heat, you can do it for 2 hours, 3 hours. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, it's that good.
It's bad.
Really?
It's like a chewy ball of flour.
Oh. Well,
It's chewy. It's bland. Oh. It doesn't taste like anything. The only flavour I could pick is probably stale cigarettes. That's really bad.
Don't try this one.
Don't try that one.
Needs a liter of barbecue sauce. Now. Now. Yeah, right now.
I could easily sit here a few more days, but we've got a schedule to keep if we want to see all the other exciting stops I have planned.
Found this unexpected little gem on Skull Springs Road on the way back to Nullagine. The first thing we thought when we saw it on the horizon was old gold mine, but it looks like a processing plant, very old processing plant, probably a battery. There's that big header behind me, probably contained a series of big hammers which were driven by a steam pump from this water tank I'm crouched next to and the other water tank. Let's have a quick walk through, hey? So that there is where the hammers would have sat. Probably the hammers were likely driven by that shaft with the wheels on it there. There's another piece of it. This thing looks like the remains of some steam piston pump. Another awesome big wheel over here. And then a little bit further away down here, there's another big wheel there. There's a tank. with a big old boiler attached to it. Cool, hey? Anyhow, onwards.
Skull Springs Road is a beautiful drive winding through red hills and spinifex, but, as usual, it's a bit slower going than I anticipated. Eventually though, we made it
to Nullagine. And just out of Nullagine is Beaten Gorge. It's a little bit tricky to find. I only knew where to look because I put in a bit of research. There's a lot of closed access because there's mines around here. You can see the machines on the hill. Anyway, to the point. Beaten Gorge is somewhere you can look for fossick for semi-precious stones and gems. So I've made a bit of a list of the things you can find and some pictures and notes on how to identify them. And now we're walking up the riverbed in the gorge, searching for them.
I found a swimming hole.
We're in the middle of the dry season now, so it's a bit green, but found a pool.
The afternoon grows long, and it would be nice to make Marble Bar by nightfall. There's a lot of cattle and brews out here, and my spotlights broke ages ago. Not ideal for night travel.
So we're just outside the town of Marble Bar. Stayed in the town last night in the caravan park. Took the opportunity to have a hot shower, wash some clothes this morning, and we've based ourselves here for a couple of days so we can explore a few things around. And right now we're heading on Corunna Downs Road to Corunna Downs, the World War II airbase. More about the airbase when we get there. Jake will tell you because he's done a lot of reading about it. So we poke around and have a look at some of the artefacts.
Corunna Downs Air Base, formerly known as No. 73 Operational Base Unit, lies 36 kilometres south of Marble Bar. It was one of Australia's best kept secrets during World War II. Around 300 men were stationed here and conducted many successful bombing raids on Japanese bases situated on Java, Borneo, Singapore and various target islands just north of Australia. The Americans came to the party here too, bringing the American Liberator bomber to the table. With an impressive range and huge payloads of bombs, these machines helped win the war. The bomber crews would leave in the evening, conducting their raids during the night, and return in the morning, making it harder for the Japanese to find the base. But hidden in the middle of nowhere and surrounded by rugged spinifex ranges, the Japanese could never find it, as much as they admit they tried. Back on the base, troops would sweat it out through 50-degree days. That's 122 Fahrenheit. And 40-degree nights. The heat made showers impossible before 9 p.m. Any other time of the day, the hot pipes delivered scalding water. Canvas tents made life that much more uncomfortable, especially when the waves of dysentery encumbered your bunk buddy after he consumed too much of the arsenic-laced bore water. Corunna Downs Air Base did not officially close until January 14th, 1946, about 5 months after the Japanese surrendered. So as we come past the sign on the way in, it shows you a bit about what's here. This mound that we're on now used to be an aircraft hangar. They didn't want them to look like man-made aircraft hangars, so a mound of dirt, big camouflage net over the top, just made it look like another hill that's right behind us. And in here is where they worked on their aircraft. And in the distance, we've got them all around here. We're still not very close to the actual runway, because that was a pretty stupid idea to keep all your bombers close to the runway just in case the runway got bombed. It's pretty easy to pick out on a map. You can see why they never would have found this place. They designed the layout of this base and they put it in such a spot where it's surrounded by hills in every direction. You could not see it on the horizon. Not only that, it's the hottest place in Australia. No one would have even wanted to come here. It's inhospitable. But once upon a time, there were hundreds and hundreds of people here. This place was buzzing with life. Over on this ridge, out here, is where they held an anti-aircraft battery on the top. A Bofor gun. Now, a Bofor gun was big old anti-aircraft shells. Alright, let's go find some relics. Going along the final taxiway now before we hit the runway. It's often, it makes you wonder, you know, it's been, what, 70 odd years, and nothing quite grows as it did before it was touched by all the, once the topsoil has been touched by the machinery and moved out the way, nothing quite grows the same. Big wide bombers used to run along here. 4 1200 horsepower engines, radial engines. They needed to be maintained frequently, rebuilt often. What they would do is take the engines off, put new engines on, take those other engines away and rebuild them. The main runways were measuring 1650 metres and 2300 metres long.
Found an air sock. It doesn't have a sock on it anymore, so I guess it's just an air.
Yep. The windsock pole's still standing. Not much left of it. And there's a few cans lying around that look like old Terps cans or something. Obviously they would have run a lot of lanterns keeping this place lit up when the planes radioed in that they were coming home and wanted to land. Otherwise they would have kept it in the dark. At the end of one of the runways, we come across one of the old gun pits. Imagine sitting in this thing, 50-degree heat.
Surrounded by spinifex.
Surrounded by spinifex. Alex picked up this tin. It seems unopened for a very long time at least. Doesn't feel quite full. Sounds like there's a bit of rust inside, but there is something in there. We don't know what it is. What do you reckon's in there? I'm not going to open it.
What's in the tin, eh? I reckon tea or coffee. What do you reckon?
This is the old wireless transmitter site. Just a foundation. Pretty intact for how old it is. A little bit more out there. And a lot of bottles. This, we reckon, it says on the map, recreation. They said there was a picture garden out here, which is old school for movie theatre. And whether this was like a projector room or something and the screen was there, or whether this was a mount for a screen. Not sure. Just going to check behind this hill, find out. As it says on the map, this is the campsite where everyone would have stayed. You've got some old ovens lying around, really old rusty ovens. Some cool metal thing over there, I don't know what that is. And I can only imagine that maybe they worked on vehicles or had some sort of building set up. But I suppose this is where most of the goings on going on. I suppose they've got one at the end of each runway, hey? Apparently at the end of this east-west runway, there's workshops somewhere out here. Can't see them in the distance, but they did like to hide things.
And that is Corunna Downs' secret airbase. Now before I go and sign off for this episode, I've got something I want to show you. Yep, I hung on to it. The unopened tin that I found out there. Now what I'm going to do, I've decided I'm going to hold a bit of a competition with this thing. I don't know what the prize is going to be yet. I'm going to make a separate video probably a week or two from now, which is going to be detailing the competition. And how it's going to work is the closest guess to what's in this tin wins the prize. So I'm giving you a heads up and a bit of time to think about it. To help you out, it's a little bit unevenly weighted towards this side. It's been lying on its side like that in the dirt for years. Whatever's in it doesn't really move. It's kind of settled. It weighs 506 grams, and using my little changing ruler which I got from Alice Springs when I was 10, I will measure it up for you. That is 10.5 centimeters tall, and the diameter on the top there is 9.5 centimeters. So the way I'll judge the winner, again, will be the person that guesses the closest as to what's in it. I don't even have an idea yet. And I'm going to do that in the comments on the original video I make about this. So in a couple of weeks, keep an eye out for that video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here so you don't miss it. And that's where I'll be judging the comments and seeing who gets the closest guess.
Thanks to the following top tier patrons for making this video possible. These people are a huge source of support for Intense Off-Road and a ball to have a laugh and a chat with in the Intense Off-Road patron group. Here's what you've got to look forward to in the next episode. We check out the patterned rocks that Marble Bar is named after. It's our northernmost point on this trip, and we're heading south from here to check out some incredible Aboriginal carvings. We get well off track and find our own secret gorge campsite, then discover Hickman's crater after a long scenic drive through the middle of nowhere. There's pristine riverside campsites and even an entire abandoned gold mining town to be explored. You can see it all right now on Patreon, so sign up over there and complete the adventure, or hit subscribe here and hold on tight for the final episode.